Hey everybody, I want to take a second to talk about this thing. It's a statue of a Crocs shoe made to look like a person, and it's been freaking people out. And I'd like to focus on why I think it might be freaking people out, since people seem to be wondering about it. Okay, first of all, obviously, you could say it looks like it has a bunch of eyes. And that's like flies or other insects that have compound eyes. I'll try not to show you anything that's gross in this video. But there's something else to this, and I think it's much more interesting. I think in this case it's more about trypophobia, which is a recent term that talks about the fear of holes. There are a lot of theories about that, but let me show you something really quickly that might clear it up. This is an anthill, and this is wood that's been damaged by termites. And when worms and parasites and insects get into your food, they do the same thing. It's very clear that you shouldn't eat food that has worms or insects or parasites in it. They can bite you, they can make you sick, things like that. So it makes perfect sense, at least to me, that you would get disgusted when you see things that have a lot of little holes in them. Even more specific than fear, and this is what people say. It's a sense of disgust, not wanting to be around the thing, not finding the thing appetizing, etc. Possibly even wanting to throw up. And that makes perfect sense if it's to stop you from eating food like this. But here's the thing that I think makes it really interesting. Let's check out the Wikipedia article for trypophobia. If you look at this article, it actually doesn't mention what we just said. It talks about how those patterns of holes might look like patterns on spiders or snakes. Then it says that that idea mostly doesn't work, which makes sense. And there's even some explanations that use very fancy terms that may or may not be accurate. The question that strikes me, though, is why isn't this explanation there? And there's a few possibilities. One, of course, is that it might just be wrong, but it's so clearly something you would consider that I would assume that the article would list that and show why it's not true. After all, it talks about how the idea about snakes and spiders was shown to have problems. There's also the possibility that that is the correct answer, or very close to the correct answer, and it might be in one of the papers that's linked to from the article. And I did find a scientific paper there that talks about parasites, even though the article doesn't give you access, so you can't see what it actually says. But even that seems a bit strange to me because it seems like a really obvious answer. Shouldn't it be listed among the major ideas in the actual Wikipedia article? Another possibility is that no one has thought about it yet, but that's weird because it seems like such an obvious idea. It seems like plenty of people would consider it. Maybe it's because not a lot of people think about trypophobia. So even if it's an obvious answer, they just haven't thought about it enough to come to it, which would make sense too. I'm actually not sure what the answer might be. It could be that that Wikipedia article specifically is just written that way, but you actually see that a lot on Wikipedia, and it always throws me off. There's things that seem obvious when you look at them that aren't mentioned at all in the article, which should either be debunked or listed as one of the main causes because they seem to come to mind so quickly. Maybe it's that Wikipedia is just a bad source of information, which some people might be saying. But if you Google what causes trypophobia, basically these same sources come up, at least on the first page. And it seems like Wikipedia summarizes the results pretty well. So it's pretty standard and decent for a Wikipedia article. Regardless, there is another possibility, which is that some things are obvious when they're pointed out, but they're not obvious until they are pointed out. Which reminds me to try to be aware of the obvious things in my own life that I might be overlooking. But either way, thanks for listening. Try to avoid pictures like this, and I'll be back soon.